Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make are cookies. But we're going to make what are called German biscuits, which does mean a cookie. I got this recipe from a friend and I liked it. And I thought I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit. Well, we'll talk about what she had told me is traditionally what she does when she bakes it, and she is German, and she does them, I guess, around Christmas time. And then I'm going to explain, well, how I kind of just changed up the recipe a little bit, so you'll be able to decide how you want to do it if you decide to make this recipe. So let's get started. What I liked about it is that I could make my cookie dough in my processor, or you can do it certainly by hand in a bowl. You can use your hand mixer, and my friend actually mixes it with her hands in a bowl. So I guess there's all different methods to make these German cookies or German biscuits. So, but I'm going to show you how I did it, and I was very pleased with the results. So first off, what you're going to do is you're going to start off with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in my processing bowl. I'm also going to put the next dry ingredient in, and it is a half a teaspoon of baking powder. That was a half a teaspoon. Now I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm sorry about that, but I'll explain later. So hopefully I'll go through clearly enough and slowly enough that if you're jotting down notes and you want to give this recipe a try, you can. So again, we've put 2 cups of all-purpose flour in so far, and a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put butter in, and you need a 1/4 pound of butter. I cut it up into small pieces because I think it's easier to break up that way. Let me grab a spatula here, and I'm just kind of put it all around here a little bit. That was a 1/4 pound of your favorite brand butter. And then I'm also going to be needing granulated sugar, and I'm going to put a half a cup of granulated sugar in that. Okay, now the next part is just to start cut the butter into the flour and what have you. I want to warn you about the sound in case you find this is too loud. And I'm going to stop periodically and tell you a little bit more, but we're going to try to keep this going till it actually makes the cookie dough ball and cleans the whole bowl on the inside. Okay, so let's get started. Now, I don't know, I hope that you can hear me over that motor. If you can't, I do apologize. And what I found was, by watching this, you can, run it or you can pulse it, whatever that you prefer. And I do a little bit of both. And it's remarkable because the longer that you run it, it just starts coming together. I mean, it was such a breeze. It was so easy that I really enjoyed making these cookies. And you can start to see, I hope that you can kind of see, but it's starting to make like a crumble at this time. Now once it starts to make that crumble, then we're going to add 1 egg. Let me repeat that, I'm sorry. Once it starts to become a crumbled mix in there, then we're going to put 1 egg at room temperature. Now you're going to really start seeing the dough come together. Now once again, if you prefer to pulse it, you know, that's up to you. And now I'll turn it back on. And you can start to really seeing it come together. Now I'm just going to pulse it to get the very last bit of it together. Okay. And now if I can get my lid off, there we go. I don't have my hand brace on, and my hand is not quite as strong without it. And as you can see, look how that cleaned the inside of that. Look at that. You know, and you've got your cookie dough. I mean, what could be easier than that? Okay, we'll shove that to the side. And then you get this beautiful, easy to work with cookie dough ball. It's very pliable. It's not real sticky to work with. It's not real dry. Oh my gosh. It's just the most beautiful cookie dough to work with. I'm going to grab some flour. I kind of forgot to put that on my countertop, and I'm just going to lightly dust it. You don't need a lot of flour, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that in half to show you. Okay, and we'll just set that aside for the moment and put this back into a nice nice ball here. All right, and then with my rolling pin, whoops, I'm just going to roll this out, and probably to about 1/4 of an inch. You can make them thicker if you want. If you want to make them a half. Now I get about 24 cookies out of them, but you want it relatively thin, so I like 1/4. And then I'm just using this little fluted cutter. You can use a glass or something like that. And again, keep in mind, I did get 24 cookies out of it. And then, of course, just put your little shape cutters in there and get that, okay? And then I usually use, you know, like a spatula or something to pick it up, but look at how easy. Oh my gosh. I roll out actually that whole roll and do all the cutting, and then I try not to, you know, I try not to overwork the scrap. In other words, let me just put these down real quick here. And do space them. They're not going to spread too much, but I like to put them, you know, about 2 inches apart. I don't like to overcrowd my cookies. And then when you have this, you know, like I said, the scrap, I don't like to work with it too much because I don't want it to get tough and dense. Okay? But there really isn't any real waste when you're working with those. I just wanted to get one last cookie out here. Okay, and I'm going to put that with the rest of that and set that aside. Now, you're going to bake them at 325 degrees, and they're going to take you probably any 8 to 10 minutes. I start checking mine after about 6 minutes, 7 minutes, because as you know, all our ovens set up so differently, and you don't want to burn them. They generally have a light color. They don't really get too brown. They get a little bit of brown on the edges. If you want to use your parchment paper, feel free, or your mats, or you don't have to use anything. You can have just an ungreased cookie sheet or cookie pan, and they come out beautiful, because I've done it. I've done it both ways, with parchment and then with nothing, and it really came out excellent. Okay, so let me show you what these cookies look like once they're baked up. I want to just rinse my hands quickly because I was, handling raw cookie dough with raw egg. I really don't want to continue to touch anything without clean hands. Okay. Now, when they bake up, they'll come out like this, okay? They will have a hard finish on the top, a light golden brown on the bottom, okay? And what you're going to do is you're actually going to make like sandwich cookies out of them. So you'll need, 2 to make 1 cookie, okay? And when you break open them, they really are more of I would say, a biscuit. Well, they're a biscuit and a cookie, but they have they're not real dense, but you don't hear a snap or anything like that with them, but they just melt in your mouth. They really do. They're just great tasting little cookies, just even by themselves. Now, with fillings, we'll talk about that. My friend generally uses some type of she uses like strawberry preserves, and she puts strawberry preserves between the two and then puts them together. Well, I thought about it, and my family loves peanut butter. So I had decided, instead of using preserves, yet it's a great cookie with preserves, I went ahead and made a peanut butter filling for these sandwich cookies. And how I made it was so easy. Use a half a tablespoon of butter. And I would suggest if you melt the butter, it's, I think, a lot easier, and let it cool. And then put a half a cup of your favorite peanut butter, whatever brand or type. I used creamy, and 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar, and you'll get this really great tasting, easy to work with peanut butter filling for these cookies. Then also, to top them, and I'll show you in a moment, I just went ahead and made a sugar glaze, but more so that I could not so much drizzle it on, but to paint it on the top of the cookie. In fact, the ones that I'm speaking of, that they fill with jam between the 2 cookies, okay? Then they top it with the icing sugar, okay? And they either put maybe a half of a cherry on top, or colored Jimmies or things like that. So what I did and wanted to do is this. I took 2 of my cookies, used my peanut butter filling to put that in the center. You decide how much or how little that you want. I put the top on it like that, okay? And then I took my powdered sugar, and by the way, I used milk to thin it down to the consistency that I wanted it. And then I went ahead and took some chocolate Jimmies, and I just sprinkled those chocolate Jimmies on top of the cookie like that, okay? And let me show you, better to illustrate and show you what they look like once they were finished. And this is how they turned out. So you get a nice tall little cookie. You see that really neat peanut butter filling in the center. And then I topped it again with the icing and then the little Jimmies. And once it sets up, it'll all dry so it won't, you know, melt or get all over your fingers and that kind of thing. And I'm going to just see if I can cut one open for you and see if maybe you can get an idea as you know, bite into this cookie. Let me see, there we go. You can see the inside. So you've got that beautiful peanut butter filling, and then you've got that sugar on top. Now these cookies are great without that sugar on top, if you prefer to leave it that way, or you can actually just put not only the filling between the two, like in this one, but you could put just a little bit of this on the top if you wanted, like that. Okay, and you could have put some of your chocolate Jimmies on like that. I mean, you know, it's really up to you, whatever that you want to try and what you want to do, whether you want to fill it with the preserves and top it with the icing and then maybe colored Jimmies or a half a cherry, or try the peanut butter with the filling as I did here. Either way, this is a great little recipe. Again, I like easy recipes, but I like good tasting recipes too. So if you try this recipe and you like it, I'd love to hear from you. So please write to me and I will answer in a timely fashion. And real quick, I want to explain why I no longer put my recipe below the video is due to, and I'm not alone on this, so many people posting and pinning and taking my work to other sites. And when it's so frustrating when I see that and you've written to me or you had a question and I can't answer you. But if you watch me solely on YouTube, because that's the only place I put my videos, and you write to me, I'm going to get that question. I'm going to get that comment, and I will answer you. So I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake. I hope that you give these little cookies a try, these German biscuit cookies with the variations that we talked about today. And if you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe to the channel, boy, I can't thank you enough, or like the video, or even ring the bell. Again, thank you so much for watching Diane Lovetobake. Stay safe, stay well. I'll see you soon.